Cameron, you want to go?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to start?
I'll
Go on, you
start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the 5 Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm actually supposed to call it the 5 Sems Pro Wrestling Podcast this month. I got that completely wrong. Thank you all for joining us again. As we have said before, I know I'm jumping right into this complete butcher of an intro, but we are doing a mental health month here on the podcast, and you can see this guy looks absolutely nothing like the Sem. It's actually a downgrade in my opinion, but Mr. Sem was supposed to join us, but he just he's just not available at the moment, which is, I know he's probably listening. Like, he is completely fine. We love you. Hope you get better. And yeah, so we're stuck now with Mr. Carroll. That was a complete butchering of an intro.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, I probably could have done that better, or Sim could have done that better. It should have been me and Sim, really.
Do you know what? Carmel, you take this one. It's all yours.
yeah.
I don't need the 5 marks. But I am joined by my lovely dance partner, Mr. Carmel. How are you today?
Good. How's everybody doing? Welcome back for another week.
I actually was going to miss that for a whole month of you going, welcome back for another week.
Yeah.
But it is pretty much like a week of returns here on the 5 marks. We had the Sem rejoin us last week, which is now officially, I think it came out this week, didn't it? It's now officially the longest episode of the podcast, 2 hours and 10 minutes, which none of us saw any of that go by. But making his way back to the 5 Mark podcast to join us tonight, I gave you a great intro last time. I've got to do it again this time. And this time there's no preparation. He is one half of the Social Elite. He is a diamond. He is a future Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion and the man that sent Carlito back to the WWE. It is Mr. Matthew Bulletsmyth.
Once again, a great intro. How are we, lads?
All good. I can't even remember the intro I gave last time. I know it involved Carlito, and after this past weekend, I was like, oh, gotta do it again. With the send it back.
Definitely.
I'll start this off by, let's get your reaction, obviously, to the man that the last time we saw him in Ireland, he's now back in the WWE. Obviously a big win for you. You sent him packing.
Yeah, it's mad because I didn't stay up to watch Backlash, and fucking wake up and look at me socials and see Carlito back, and like, fuck, that is class. Like, that was the crowd. Holy God, unbelievable. Like, and because I remember, like, when I watched the Rumble during COVID, and when Carlito came out in the Rumble, and I remember watching that with my mates, go, that's deadly. Like, loved Carlito, and I was like, great. And then seeing him come back again, but the difference now, this time I'd wrestled him like fucking 5 months before, 6 months before. It's crazy, fucking crazy.
Oh, I know that this is all about. Well. Oh, sorry, go on, Carl.
I was just gonna say that pop as well, because you can hear that, like, little intro on the start where he's with that kind of bit of the drum, and then nothing, just crowd.
It's crazy. Like, I remember, like, I seen kind of like, you know, way on Twitter where they have, like, you can see the video playing but it's muted.
Yeah.
And then I seen that, I turned it on, like, brought it back, and I was expecting to hear like the fucking, like, the spit, and I spit in the face, and I didn't hear that, and it's a bit like myself. I love hearing that part of the team, but I kind of get why they did it. But still,
it kind of made people kind of stop for a second, like, and go, "Who's this?" Then it pops up for them.
Yeah. But that crowd, the entire show, electric. That match in general, unbelievable. That's what proper pro wrestling is. Like, for a man like Bad Bunny, like a celebrity, to come in and do something like that, and just everything in that match was fantastic.
And then, speaking of entrance and pops, I think he now has one of the top 5 entrances in wrestling.
Easy. That was so fucking cool. Fella walking out on, like, what was the attendance at? Like, mad numbers, and like everybody singing his song like it was a fucking concert, like crazy. Absolute badass entrance.
like that's I know this is all about you, but I wanted to just touch on Backlash there because obviously I brought it up. But like as you said, the crowd was absolutely hot that night, singing Bad Bunny's theme song. So the Carlito pop, the Savio Vega pop, they were having a fun time that night. Like, and even like I worked the next morning, so I had to work at like 9 o'clock on Monday. Sorry, on Sunday, and I was like, damn, I think it was like nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I gotta go to bed. So I turned on. It was just a Bad Bunny match coming up next. Even with my TV down to two, you could hear the crowd singing Bad Bunny's theme song. Because I was there lying in bed, crying. Foster was like, "Oh my god, he is a mega star now."
Honest to God, like it's crazy.
It's huge.
But then
Huge. It even felt like an Attitude Era show.
Yeah.
Then he went
Yeah.
back to that. You had that hardcore match. You had the bit of blood from Brock.
a lot
Yeah.
of people said NXT back in like 2017 kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I'm saying, Hunter. I know you've got this in your head, but take the WWE around the freaking world. I think I was saying this on Twitter as well on the Five Marks page. I don't know what it is with the American. I think they've had the WWE for so long now that it's just the norm. You know, they're not going to pop unless you bring it to the UK. You bring it to Paris. Baron Corbin was over in Paris, like. When does that happen? I was the only Baron Corbin mark for a long time. Like, you bring it to all these places that it isn't the norm, and look what you get. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
So we're just saying that if he wants to bring it to Ireland, bring it to Croke Park and do a Matthew Bulletsmyth versus Roman Reigns main event, we're all up.
Maybe go Carlito rematch. Just go again. Just to see me go
just-
a
That'd be sick. That'd be sick.
Just one more time, big crowd, Croke Park. But then speaking as well of big pops, so as we did with the Sam last week, we're gonna kind of catch up a bit with wrestling, and I'm jumping right ahead because I think the last time we had you on was going into Homecoming, I believe. You're going into that or just before? Actually, it was just after it. The last show, you got a mad pop from me, let alone the entire crowd, because obviously we know the Shawn Michaels suffered an injury, and by the way, I watched that back. Oh my god, when you see it happen. Obviously, I always butcher his name. It's Ricky Knight Jr. Yeah, Ricky Knight Jr. landing on his foot, and someone's got to step up. And what better friend to step up than Mr. Matthew Bulletsmyth, going in, hitting the low blow, getting the roll up, and then the pop. Oh my god! No one was even thinking that was going to happen. It was a quick win. What was it like being in that moment with everyone went crazy?
Oh jeez, there is so many thoughts going through my head, like seeing Maxer go down, and I was like, oh fuck, this looks bad. And then obviously Foxy calling off the match, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is bad. And then the whole thing between with Ricky Knight calling me into the ring, and I was like, fuck, heart on 9 because I wasn't supposed to fucking wrestle. Looking pale as fuck. I had a nice big all bar chicken before the show because I'm not worrying about going out and looking a bit leaner, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look like shit. And I'm dressed in fucking suit shoes, suit pants. I'm like, oh god, he's gonna rip. But now the low blow rolling him up, I remember in the moment, thinking to myself when I heard that the reaction when I won, obviously could hear a few pops from yourself, and then boos of course as well, and I was like, jeez, that's deadly. It's deadly. But then obviously I was a bit fuck, how's Maxer? And then got back checked on him, and then I was like, oh fuck, I'll have another match. I was 90 miles an hour, things going through my head at that point. But sure, look, it's wrestling. That shit like that happens, and you always got to be ready.
Unfortunately, that one day that you just happened to have your food, so weren't too ready, but you were ready to get a W. And obviously,
sometimes always ready, Matthew Bulletsmyth.
yeah. How was the preparation even after the first match though? When you went back in, was it just kind of right, head focus, I'm in the next match, I gotta go? Or was it kind of like, shit?
Um, for a little bit, I was like, shit, like, is this, am I definitely going into this match? Is there something going to be called, make it like to change? Are they going to change the brackets, whatever? And then I was like a few minutes went by, I was like, yeah, this is definitely happening. And I'm like, right, grand, like have a job to do. Wasn't too overly like nervous or overthinking it because to me it was just a bit like another job, like another quick preparation. Obviously, of course, I like having me time to get ready for matches and stuff like that. Obviously, I like to be wearing my actual wrestling gear for matches, but sure, look, it is what it is. That took any springboards or any big moves out of my repertoire, but sure, look, it is what it is. Yeah, I was grand. Did a few squats to make sure that the trousers wouldn't rip. And I don't know, like it was grand. Um, Obviously, like a really shit situation to be trusted into, like especially when your tag partner like is legit hurt and like doesn't look great, and you're kind of worried about him, but then you have to worry about your match and focus for your match, and like 'cause you obviously want to win, you want to go out and put in a good performance, like so. Yeah, a lot of things kind of went through my head, but like I didn't really feel overly stressed about it. And to be fair, like once I finished the match with Leighton and I came back behind the curtain, I kind of like thought about everything that like happened. I was a bit like, oh fuck. I kind of gave myself a bit of like, oh, fair play to me, but then kind of just went back to as I was like, oh, it's just it is what it is. It was just a quick job I had to do, and then went looked after Maxer. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I was gonna bring that up as well because obviously there was aftermatch interviews, and your one was very like talk about like see the positive side of it. It was you had said that for somebody who wasn't supposed to be in this tournament, look how far I got.
Yeah.
So it is a great way to look at it. But another thing as well that tournament gave us was the great chant of "Where's your socks at?"
I had socks. Just go and see them because it's called wearing invisible socks style. It's something I really rate myself highly on. So people can stop bullying me for that. That'd be nice.
It's just the Dublin people, I'd say.
Oh, it's a god, man. It's the Northsiders.
But obviously, then, not only have you guys got the Hard Knocks tag titles in the future, but coming up, I think, is it 2 weeks now, Carmo?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. The OTT tag tournament is going to be in the first round. Yourself and Maxter against the team of Semzo Rose, as I call them. Are you guys prepared for that one now to go all the way? Because I'm rooting for you guys now. Well, not now, but I'm rooting for you guys.
As you should. No, look, that's going to be very, very good teams in there. Obviously, a few debuts from even Irish lads, and then debuts from imports coming in. Obviously, you have the likes of Jay and Sam, and Liam Royal, Omari. Like, they're going to be big favourites, but I'm definitely really confident in myself and Max are going to go all the way and then beat the Kings for them belts.
But not only that, would you guys be ready to say now? As I said, I know you guys are going to go all the way. Let's say you guys only get to the semis, but then the performance that you guys put on is so good and catches the eye of the Kings of the North. Obviously, they can pick a team from the semifinals. Are you guys ready? If it's you in the semis that drop and they pick you guys to go the very next night?
It's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that because we get to the semis, we're going to the final, and we get to the final, we're going to win.
And then they're going all the way to the OTT tag titles. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen.
Dead right. Go to the Paddy Power, stick the €25 on. I'm pretty sure it'll be okay odds because we're pretty good. We're pretty good.
Decent. The other question is then, though, is it going to be 100% of the social elite? Is Maxer back to 100%?
Might not be 100%, but pretty sure Maxer on one leg is better than 90% of the island anyway.
That's pretty true.
He's got a point. Argue with that, Carmo. Go on, I want you to argue with that.
I can't argue with it. I can't argue with it. No.
Exactly. But no, I'd say we do wish the two of you well. I wish the two of you well. I know Carmo is going for his boys in the draw. He's going for his boys in the draw. But you go all the way and Liam Royale, I hope you get squashed by the social lead. Well, Mr. Carmo, any questions for yourself?
I suppose talking about Hard Knocks then as well. Obviously, you've got announced for the Hard Knocks Tag Team Tournament, which would be the first ever Hard Knocks Championship. How is it, I suppose, finding out that you're going to be involved in Hard Knocks, plus the possibility of making history and becoming the first Hard Knocks Tag Team Champions?
Yeah, pretty excited for it. Like, I've been looking forward to getting down to Hard Knocks. Looks like great venue, great atmospheres, and really good talent down there from like they're like the homegrown lads at Hard Knocks at their school. It'd be really interesting to see what teams are in it. So I'm really looking forward to that, and obviously like the chance of becoming the first ever Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions would be great. Definitely something me and Maxer want to do, believe we can do. So if you see us in a few months with them Hard Knocks belts around our waists, then I won't be shocked.
It's no surprise. It's just because it's Hard Knocks has been brought up. Is there any actual like tag teams that you say will say you haven't faced in OTT that are in Hard Knocks that you guys would like love to have a match against?
Pretty Deadly Playboys. They look very good. Would like to go up against them. Obviously, we'd win. But no, there's a Galaccini fella.
Oh,
and, his Hermano. They look like good fun. They look like we'd easily beat them, but we look like we'd have a bit of fun together in the ring.
Now, would you give them like a proper like slap from me?
It's a bit mean, don't you think? Yeah,
I mean, it's Galaccini's. Like, it's Galaccini.
I respect Galaccini. I respect what he's doing. He's clearly got under the skin of you, and I've definitely gotten under the skin of a few people.
It's only because I've put up for like the videos and stuff of him just being an idiot and failing with things and messing up, and he calls me out saying that's photoshops, this, that, the other. I'm lying and bullying, and I'm just like,
it might be. Who knows? It might be a very good video editor. Like, in this day and age, you can't be too safe.
Yeah, to be fair, that's actually very true. and I'll take that one. Mr. Carmo, any other wrestling questions that you want to go into?
I was just going to say, I'm going to call you out here, Martin. You still bought Galaccini shirt, so you must be doing something.
It was a bet, a dare against Emmett. I said they would lose and leave Hard Knocks, and he said if they won, I'd buy a T-shirt.
So look, you'll be in the social leads corner. I'll be in Galaccini's and Axel's corner, and we'll see where it goes.
We're not even in the match. Okay. I just come over and start beating the shit out of you.
But obviously, then I suppose go back to the OTT tag tournament as well. But if you get to the finals, you're obviously facing the draw, which is a big task. Obviously, not the draw, the Kings of the North. Sorry. Obviously, Kings of the North have been OTT for years upon years. They're one of the most accomplished tag teams in Ireland, let alone OTT, 5-time tag team champions. What do you think the preparation is going to be like for that? Are you just solely focused on the tournament for the moment, or is that are you thinking kind of ahead?
Obviously, you kind of have to think a little bit ahead when obviously it's a tournament, and if you win the tournament, obviously you want to win the tournament, but if you win the tournament, you have to face the Kings of the North for the belts. And obviously, me and Max are thinking one match at a time. We know what we have to do to win each match. We know what we have to do to win the tournament. And the thing with the Kings of the North out there, obviously, easily one of the best tag teams OT has ever had. And even now, they're probably even more dangerous in a sense now that they have all three of them back together now with Donkey return. And well, it is going to be us to win. But in a hypothetical situation where we don't, any tag team that goes up against Kings of the North at this day and age will definitely have their work cut out. But I'm very confident in myself and Max that if that does happen, when that does happen, we will be ready and able to defeat them and bring their belts to the social elite.
Now, if you take those titles, are you guys going to freebird it as well and have Paul Tracy in the ring too, yeah?
yeah, we'll do that. That sounds good. Whenever I'm not feeling up to it, I'll just like,
Paul, go on.
yeah, sure, look.
I'd love to see you outside in the whole get up and the cane and like just swapping places.
Guess what places? I'm going bald soon anyway, so it'll probably look well.
But obviously, two tag tournaments coming up. It's a busy time for you in wrestling, and I'm socially all day. Carmel's the draw, who I guess it is. But obviously, that's not what this month's about. This month's about having it's about mental health and wrestling. And obviously, the last time we had you on, you obviously told us the story about your struggles. And just to remind the viewers, or even people who may have not listened to that episode and are just tuning in now, do you want, if you can remember exactly what you said, do you want to just retell them the story?
Yeah, sure. Like, I'm pretty sure I just went through like my general gist of it. When I was young, when I was like 17, 16, yeah, I was 16 at the time. My best friend, pretty much, he passed away in an unfortunate accident. That, like, for me at that time, I'd never experienced any loss or anything like that, any like hard traumas, for lack of a better word, in my life. So that kind of affected me pretty negatively. There was other stuff going on. I think I was like stressing out major about the leaving cert because I like didn't know what I wanted to do in college. Didn't know if I wanted to go to college. Didn't know what the fuck to do, and being pressured by like teachers, obviously my family being like, obviously they want me to go to college. Like, of course, every family wants that. Want me to do well, and just a few other things personally on top of then my best mate dying. It was a kind of a build up of things, and I felt shit, and I had no real way to deal with it, and I didn't know how to deal with it at the time. And a few things came to a head where like I was convinced by someone I was very close at the time, to maybe have a look at going to therapy or something. And I remember I was like, yeah, fuck it, might as well, why not? Talk to my family about it, and they were very, very, very supportive. Couldn't be even more supportive at all. And did it for a couple of months. I think it was like every like second week for about 6 months or so, and it was honestly best thing I ever decided to do. Because it still helps me now, like, because in wrestling as well, like in normal everyday life can be fucking shit enough, but in wrestling as well, like you really need to like have your head screwed on, right? You need to not let some things get to you, because some people do. Some people are very lucky; they don't like allow them things to get to them just naturally the way they are. Some people aren't as fortunate in that regard. Like people are maybe just like they overthink things. I overthink things the whole time, and but I know now like how to deal with shit like that, how to like not worry. And I learned all that like from my time going to therapy. Like I remember when I went there, like they talked to me and they just pretty much told me, it's like, yeah, you might be depressed, you might have anxiety, but like I can't remember what they told me. Yeah, I think it was just depression, a bit of anxiety, and I was like, geez, that sounds a bit extreme. I didn't think that myself, but obviously like they kind of knew what they're talking about. And throughout the few months where I did the therapy, 10 out of 10 experience, learned so much, and yeah, it helps me now every day in my life.
So the one question I'll start off with, because we talked about it a good portion of last week, is therapy. Because a lot of people are they're either very scared to go, don't feel like they should go, or they just don't know. So like for when your mate approached you about like therapy and stuff, was there any hesitation or anything like that? And in the end, what kind of like really just made you go, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it?
I think they just noticed me being a bit of a prick, pretty much, and they noticed like it kind of just mainly happened after my best mate died. So that was obviously like a very clear turning point into like me being a bit of a prick. Um, and there's other things they noticed. They just noticed I changed. They just noticed I was down the dumps, and obviously like great that I had someone around me to tell me to do something like that. And I think I remember at the time when they told me, I was just a bit like, for a few seconds, a bit like, oh, fuck you, I don't need to go. And then I kind of like thought about it, and it's a bit like, yeah, maybe you're right. Like when you have that kind of like moment of realization of like, yeah, like your things haven't been acting right. Like it's, I think we said something like that in the last time where you kind of you don't think about things. A few months later, you think back and you're like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
shit like that. That definitely like obviously that helps with like feeling shit at like one part of the year. A few months go by, you look back and you're like, oh, I don't feel like that anymore. Great. You can also see that like if it's a slow burn, like if you're feeling great at one point in the year, a few months go by, and you're like, I feel like shit. What the fuck happened? Or maybe your behavior has changed. Like I've been acting out of sorts, not fucking doing what I should be, and you're like, right, something needs to change. So I kind of realized that, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot, and yeah. Then that obviously that happened again, where I was a bit like looked at where I was, how I felt when I started or just before I started therapy, and then like a few months after when I was a bit like, yeah, I think I'm good. Don't think I need to go anymore.
Was it like kind of a hard process to get into? Because I've mates now that they've been to therapy for various different things, and now for some of them it was very easy to set it up, and go in. But for other people, like I think Sam was even saying this, like sometimes it could take like two or three different therapists before you find the one that you click with. Was it like
Mm.
that for you, or was it very easy, like straight away? Yeah, you're the person.
Very lucky for me. Like it was very, excuse me, very easy to find someone. Obviously it's really hard to kind of find people to open up to sometimes, especially like when it's just you and one person in a room and they're asking questions and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people have very preconceived ideas of like what therapy is. I think a lot of it is just like the like the movies and TV shows of like you lying down on a couch and someone talking to you with a pencil board and shit like that. It's
And
not
how does
for
that
me.
make
It
you
was like
feel?
yeah, it was like showing you random pictures of like really weird like drawings and like what do you see here? It's like fuck off. For me, it was just like I was sitting at a desk with a fella and he was just like, all right, how are you? Like, I think for me it was. I remember the first time it was like a sit down with three people, which is bit gas. I think that was kind of like figure out what they were like, what they need to do for me. Jesus, sounds weird. Like what they need to like look at. And then they like obviously sat down with me with me man, like talked to her a bit. And then obviously the first session it kind of was very natural, like a very natural process. Obviously I'm very lucky that I didn't experience anything like any super bad like negative mental health like other people's experience way worse than me. So I'm obviously really fucking grateful for that. So I think that definitely made the process a lot easier. But for me, yeah, it was definitely very easy. I know a lot of people like are a bit like, uh, how do you like what's the process of like starting it? Like where do you go to? Like what do you do? And a lot of I think for that as well, for some people that like overthink things and get very anxious about things, especially like social anxiety and shit like that. Like people are a bit like I don't want to go like here, where do I go? What do I do? And it stresses them out and they don't do it. For me, it was very simple. I just went to me GP and was just like, yeah, I just feel like shit. Um, what do I do? I'm looking to do therapy. What do I do? And they fucking sorted that out pretty quickly, pretty good for me. So I couldn't be more grateful for that.
But there's something now for somebody who might be listening who is in that spot, and I was like, how do you even get the ball rolling? Just go to your
Mm.
GP and ask. It's like, hey, I'm not feeling like me. Um, what can you recommend for me? Do you know?
Yeah, 100%. I think now as well, it's definitely because the whole topic of mental health is definitely much better now than what it was a couple of years ago, even to when I did it. Um, like there's so many places, so many people like promote it. It's promoted so much on social media. I don't know myself, but I'm sure if you like Google a few things in Ireland, like for like therapy or like or getting to see people. Obviously, there's always the hotlines of just like
Hmm.
talking to someone because that's what to be fair. That's therapy in itself. Just talking to someone about something that you're feeling shit about. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small it is. Like just chatting to someone. I feel like shit. I'm not feeling the greatest. And they just listen and talk to you and then like kind of reassure you, like, look, you're all right, you're grand. Obviously different situations require different levels of like responses and stuff, but that's like the general gist of it.
100%.
Just there about talking as well. Did you find it tricky, I suppose, just opening up to people at the start?
At the start, yes, definitely. Like I remember when I did it, when I started therapy, I told very few people about it. I think to the point that like so many few people that I'm like really close, I didn't tell about it. I'm pretty sure a few of them probably still don't know I even did it because like I kind of like did it, didn't tell anyone, and then when I stopped doing it, I didn't really feel the need to tell anyone. Like,
Mm.
um, so yeah, open up was pretty. I had to like to the right people. I had to open up to like because I was just out of like general fear of being slagged. Like you know what it's like
Yeah.
in Ireland. Like it's like nobody means bad by it, but it's just like the harmless banter of it.
It's the typical Irish person, do you know? It's
Yeah,
like it's not
exactly. Like
like when you see your mate and he's like wearing some fucking stupid thing. Like Emma could walk down the street there now, and I'd be like, look at that fucking twat! What an absolute
yeah,
gobshite!
yeah,
And like any
exactly.
non-Irish person, would be, I thought he's your friend. Oh, he is, but he's still a gobshite.
Yeah, it's just that's just the way the banter is. Like it's harmless and like but then when you kind of like used to it and you want to talk about something much deeper about yourself, it's in the back of your mind. And then especially if you're an overthinker or you're
Yeah.
anxious and you don't it just shit builds up and you don't feel like opening up. That's why it's very important to like sometimes like let people know, not like directly, like when I know a lot of people like will share something to their Instagram story when it's like promoting positive mental health. Someone could see that and be like, oh, like if I ever need to talk to somebody, I have them. So when they do feel like shit, they'd be like popping them a message to be like, hey, not feeling great, shit like that.
100%. Carol, you got another question there?
I suppose then, kind of moving on with therapy, then did you like the more that you got into it, the more did you kind of was a gradual process before you kind of started to kind of like, okay, things aren't actually maybe as bad as I thought they were. I'm starting to see nearly the other side of it now, or was it kind of a slower process?
Um, I'd say it was slow. I you don't really notice the changes happening. Like they're kind of like a gradual thing that kind of just happen. You just naturally become less and less overthinking at times. Um, yeah, I remember being pretty slow and passive. Like there'd be times when I go in therapy and I'm a bit like, this is gonna be shit. I don't want to be here, and then I leave, still feeling the exact same. Maybe next time I'm a bit more optimistic about it, and then I enjoy. I remember I enjoy going. It's a day off school because it was on a Friday, so I fucking loved going at them points. But uh, yeah, no, it was pretty solid in that regard. Like um, pretty yeah, slow, definitely. It's a slow process, but you don't notice the changes really. For me anyway, I didn't notice the changes until like I maybe thought back and I'm like, this hasn't bothered me in a long time. This hasn't bothered me a long time. Fuck, I'm actually progressing here. So, and then when you kind of have them moments of seeing I'm not feeling this way anymore, I'm feeling much better. That makes you feel even better then. So it's fucking like a five times multiplier then. Like it's great. It's honestly a great feeling. But like you don't, for me anyway. I'm speaking obviously can only speak from my own personal
Yeah.
experiences. You don't feel them after week one or week two or week three. Maybe like week after a month you might be like feeling a little bit better. By like month two or month three, like you're definitely feeling much better.
But it's one thing that, like, you know, in 5 years' time, I was saying this to one of the lads I work with yesterday, because he did something very, very stupid. But I was like, look, right now, yes, you're an idiot, but in like 5 years' time, you'll be fucking laughing about it. You're going to look back and
Yeah,
go, what the fuck was I doing?
yeah, honest to God, because like realistically, like for certain situations, like shit changes. You're not going to feel that way about certain situations anymore. You might kind of cop on and realize, well, I didn't need to stress over that so much. Like, yeah, it was grand. Especially like if you're very stressed leading up to something, like you have it the whole time. Like fucking exams, like you're stressing balls about doing an exam. You're fucking bricking it. You finish it, you're like, wasn't that bad? Why was I stressing over that so much? It's the same with shit like this.
Yeah.
Like with certain things, or you're thinking about them in the past. I mean, like with shit, and like thinking about that is in the past. There's nothing worse than like kind of dwelling on what could happen, what you should have done, because fucking what, you can't fucking change it. You got to live. You've got to live, and you got to deal with things. So like you got to come to a realization that stuff's gonna happen. It's how you deal with it is what matters. And when you've done stuff in the past and you can't change it, you can't change it.
It is
Just
what it
you have
is.
to own. You have to own it. If something bad you did, you got to own up to it and do it. If it's something that someone bad did to you, be like, look, as you said, it is what it is. Yeah, it's just, dealing with it is the major thing. 'Cause there's so many things in life you can change, and there's so many things that like yeah, sorry, there's so many things in life you can't change, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's the worst thing when you're stressed about situations you can't do anything about. You're pointlessly getting yourself down, and it's all about just like taking a step back and thinking, look, what can I do in this situation to affect this? You look at what you can do, go ahead and do it, and you look at shit you can't do, then like don't need to worry about that. That does not matter, and that definitely applies as well to like I do it myself now still the whole time when I'm thinking of situations that don't fucking exist, that I'm like, oh fuck, if this is happening right now, or oh fuck, if this happens, how will this happen then? I'm like, fucking no, it's not happening now. Don't fucking worry about it. If it's something that you want to avoid, see what you can do it to the best of your abilities, and that will hopefully change it. And if it doesn't, then you move on. Like,
Oh, 100%. Like, look, I know there's probably someone listening that's an overthinker and like gets very
yeah,
anxious and all this stuff who still like do that shit. Like, look, we've all been there. I've a lot of the pandemic era was spent. Now, the worst times that ever happened to me was like lying in bed. That's when it normally happened with me, and like, you get the anxious of like just stupid situation like, oh god, what if I do this and oh this happens, and then you just keep making shitty
yeah, 100%.
endings.
Your own mind is your worst enemy at times, because you start thinking of made up situations with made up outcomes that don't fucking exist. And obviously, for some people, and I had it, still have it the odd time. You just don't realize that. You just don't realize that, like, look, you're making things up and you don't know how to deal with it. Some people obviously don't know how to deal with it. And then that's learning to deal with stuff like that is such an important thing, that look, realize you can't affect this. This isn't a real situation that's happening right now. So don't need to be get upset about it. Just look, focus on the positives. What can you do? And then whatever you can't do doesn't fucking
Yeah,
matter.
doesn't matter. Like, um, I had a story I was going to tell, and that story's going to completely on my head. But like, I make up one. Like, say, like, I'm trying to make up a story. Say, like, for yourself, you have a big show, and in your head, because I'm sure this might have happened. Like, you're thinking, God, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if I do this and I end up fucking snapping my arm or something and breaking it? Oh God, it's just something that's going to bring you down like pointlessly. It's just
Yeah,
it is
100%.
it is like, what's the positives? What can I do to stop this? What can I do to that? One great thing that I don't know if you ever listened to FTR with Dax Harwood, the podcast. The last episode they had was about anxiety and stuff, and Dax was talking about how his worst time is at night, and he was saying some of the things that he does. So if he ever gets those moments where he's like lying in bed, and that's when it starts, he takes 3 seconds, just clear your mind, and just go, fuck it. It's nothing.
Yeah,
For
100%.
for myself, what I do, I think I said this last week, is it's a bit like that, but I'll kind of take like a deep breath in and just breath out, and do that until literally just you do not feel anxious anymore.
Mm.
That's one thing I do, because one thing I learned was that say you're struggling to sleep as well. If you do that, that starts to shut down your brain a bit. So you start to shut down your brain. You're not going to feel anxious because now your brain is kind of going away.
Yeah, for me myself, like I like stuff like that. Like as you said, what you do. and what Dax does. They definitely stuff like that I've done, and it works. It's like screaming. So you're getting just saying to yourself, "Fuck it, doesn't matter. It works." Taking a deep breath in, out. It works for me. Like for that situation, if I'm lying in bed and I'm fucking stressing over something and it's getting too much for me, I'll just get up, get out of bed, and do something. Doesn't matter what time it is at night. If I fucking like just get up, maybe walk around my room for a little bit, just distract myself. That's what I like to. I like to distract myself, and then say if I start thinking about it later, I'll be more calmed down because when you're getting anxious and you're getting yourself riled up, you're not thinking right. You're not like thinking of what do I need to do to stop thinking like this. You distract yourself. You do whatever it is that you can do to help yourself cope with that. Then if you go back and think about it, you're much clearer head, much clearer mind, and then you're not going to be fucking getting yourself all riled up and upset about something.
Exactly. And one thing I'll say for people as well, just in case you're like me, energy drinks at this hour, it's 8 p.m. we're doing this. Yeah, that's going to cause a lot of it too. Well, not early 8, about 10 o'clock. After that,
Buddy, I'm in the same boat.
Unless you like properly work that out, sugar is a hell of a thing at night. But then like for myself, then like just for the day, like say I've like we're talking about Andrea, like things that kind of distract us, things that are it's like our comfort. For me, it's if I've had a bad day at work, I will come here, I'll sit in the PC, and I'll just play a game. So gaming is my thing. Do you have anything like that? Even if it's like going to the gym or something like that, that's kind of that's your comfort. That's where you'll kind of shut your brain down.
Yeah, for me, like if it's something that like is on me, not instantly, but like something that kind of comes up. A few things like I'll go for a walk. Go for a run. Definitely. Play the fucking video games. That's definitely one for me where it was kind of like just like block everything out and be active. Whether it's active with the brain playing the video game or doing something productive, going for a run or a walk. Like something that's kind of been bothering me for a few days. They can be a bit like sometimes if it's a few days thing, kind of need to like think of something like how do I stop feeling like this, like more than just distracting yourself. Definitely like going to wrestling training is definitely one for me where I kind of like all bullshit that's happening in my life, whether it is wrestling related as well or it's personal life. 90% of the time, if I go to wrestling training, that will not affect me. But obviously, like I am a big believer of like because wrestling's such a dangerous thing to do. I don't highly recommend if you're feeling very down in the dumps to be going to training because if your mind's not in it at times, you're not thinking right. You're going to either injure yourself or you're going to really injure your opponent, which like it's obviously not good. No. But going to gym, 100%. Gym 100% is a major thing. You see so many people talk about it now. Looking after your physical health helps your mental health so much.
It does
so much because a lot of your a lot of your negative mental health can come from just not looking after yourself. Like even keeping your room clean, like keeping yourself, keeping your mind active, keeping your body active, like noticing what like signs are as well of when you're feeling bad. Because sometimes you don't really notice when you're kind of slipping into a bit of a bad spell. Like if your room starts getting messy, you're not really doing work, you're not exactly arsed to go to the gym or something. Maybe you're a bit like, look, something's clearly not right. What is it? And then find that sorted out. Get back to good old happy you.
One of the best times I find to go to the gym is like like the days where you're like, God, I cannot be arsed today, and I do not want to go. That's the 100%. Day that you're really gonna put in like 110%.
Yeah, 100%. There's no singular better feeling than if you don't want to go to the gym and you're feeling like, fuck man, maybe I'll just give myself a day off. And if you convince yourself, just get in the fucking gym, do a bit. Doesn't need to be major. You go in, you do a bit, you come out, you'll feel on top. You'll feel on top of the fucking world, on top of the world.
You just start strutting down the street like Ric Flair shit, screaming woo
everywhere. Honest to God, you feel a different person, like.
Mr. Caramo, any questions?
I suppose then, how was it like? I suppose dealing with everything when you started getting into wrestling, was wrestling a massive help, or was it just kind of Something to
Um,
take the mind away, if you will.
definitely helped. Um, I know, like in my first like year of wrestling, which was 2019, I had a few like personal issues as well there. Like, family member I was really close to passed away, and I was obviously, as I said, like my mate dying was my first person I knew that passed away. Then my first family member the next year, um, another year and a bit after passed away, and that was a bit rough now for myself. Or am I remembering this correctly? Was it that year or was it the year before? It was around that time anyway. And I remember if I felt bad about it, went to the old wrestling. Didn't bother me. Any other personal issues that I had at the time, um, you go to wrestling or any training, your mind just completely like you blocked it out. You did not think about it. And those like 2 hours of not thinking about it, holy fuck, the world of good that does to you. Because when you're constantly thinking of something, you're constantly on your mind, you get tired of it, like, and then that makes you feel worse. And it's just like a constant spiral. When you have that time of just mind switches off or you're not thinking about it, does the world good.
And now,
And then I suppose
oh, sorry, go on, Carol.
I was just going to say as well, also meeting other people that are training and finding people like the same who also have kind of like their own kind of battles that they're
Yeah,
also doing. Does that kind of help as
yeah.
well?
Oh, 100%. When you find lads, um, and you chat to them and they either have been through shit you're going through or you have gone through or you're both going through shit at kind of the same time. Fucking best people to talk to. Definitely. I know a few lads in wrestling, as you mentioned, um, that obviously have gone through their own personal things, and there's the times you just talk shit with them for half an hour, or maybe more, even on the phone, on the text or in person. It does you the world of good. Talking, it just gets it out of your system. Because you have so much shit built up, and you talk about it, it all leaves it. It's a weird thing, but fucking hell, like it's talking about it is fantastic, and it's great to see so many lads like in our current crop now. There are so many lads that are very open about talking about it, which is great. But there's also so many lads that like if you talk about it to them, even if they haven't experienced it, they will listen and they'll support you like to no end.
That was one thing I was going to ask there was because obviously we talked to Big Damo there a few months ago, and he said this is the obviously there's the stigma, and I don't want to say it's just a stigma with like males because I feel like it's a stigma with everybody that if you're going to talk to somebody, you're just going to be a burden on them, you know. But one thing that Damon was saying, he's so happy that people are talking about it and stuff like that now because like he was a person before who thought, it's a load of bullshit, And now over the years of learning about it and understanding it more, he wants people to talk about it, to reach out to a mate, and at the question I'm pretty much saying is like, how do you feel? Like obviously our answer, like just people coming out more, not just males but females, people, all just coming out and looking for help.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. It's great to see, like especially when it's something you can relate to, like when you've gone through shit yourself and you see someone who is comfortable enough now to be like, look, lads, not feeling the best, and they have so many people they can talk to. There's so many people that will be good to talk to because there's some people that you can talk to and they'll just do it as like the favor or just like I'll
Yeah.
listen to you and like shit like that because look like people will still be like that and I get it, but having people that are good to talk to, and because there's so many around nowadays, it's so good because there's nothing better than seeing someone if they're feeling a bit shit and you talk to them and then you see them like next day you talk to them, you're like, how are you feeling now? It's like, man, fucking 100% better. 100%. You just see the difference in people. Because nobody wants anybody to be fucking down in the dumps. Everybody wants to be fucking top of the world, happy like so.
And you don't want it to get like to that point, I think everyone's seen the clip now of I think is his name Paddy the Baddy, the Scouse boxer.
Yeah.
Sure, and he
Yeah.
said it after his fight. I'd rather have my best mate crying on my shoulder than being at their funeral. Do you
Yeah,
know?
100%. 100%. Like that's obviously like a fucking very unfortunate thing that shit like that happens, but it can be face reality. Shit like that happens. Like I can't at all fathom that what that must feel like to be in that position, that thought crosses your mind. Like that's fucking scary to me. And it's nothing I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, not on anyone. So yeah, it's rough like when like that shit like that happens, and it's awful. Like the stats on it are horrible to look at. And that's why I love seeing like people that have a big reach being able to coming out and saying we need to fucking put an end to this.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen. And like obviously it's happened tremendously across the last year, and it's definitely working. People are much more comfortable to come out and talk about things. Obviously it's still gonna happen, it's not gonna go away, but the more we talk, the more we encourage people to talk and be supportive, the less chance you have of one day maybe your mate feels like shit and something bad happens. So the more work you can do yourself, the better.
And the one thing as well, like even if like I work retail, the one thing you always do, say it like a customer comes up, say hello to them, ask them how they are today. Do you know? Because that you never know, that could cheer somebody up. Like
Yeah,
you're talking about like the people coming out and talking within the last year, and things are getting a lot better. Like when we first had the Sem on, and I remember he was going on to the Battles podcast, and that's what made me go, oh my god, I could talk, mental health with him, bring up the conversation, and he's the one that really started it. And then yourself coming out and opening up, I thought this is brilliant. More people coming out and talking, because like I remember like for years nobody would talk about it. Like when I was really badly I need a drink of water because my voice is just going. I was really badly bullied growing up because I have a skin condition and stuff like that, and kids being kids, but I was really bad when I was 11 years old. I was looking like the thought crossed my mind many times at 11. So like years later, leaving primary school and moving on, life is much better. And then like I see all my mates are like getting to that stage, helping them all up. When I hear then like yourself and Andrea going like, oh yeah, I've experienced all this, I went, oh my god, there's people in the wrestling industry that I can help, chat with them about mental health, get the message out about mental health, bring people up. I was so happy that, and I remember you had said to us that like it's because the Sem brought it up first that made you go, I really want to bring this up in the podcast.
Yeah, like as you said, if you see people around you or in the same kind of like circle or whatever it is talking about it, definitely makes you much more comfortable. Because yeah, it's great seeing like someone with fucking 4 or 5, 10 million followers posting about it on social media, but you think of them as someone different. You don't think of them as someone one of your mates. When you see your mates talking about it, or your mates promoting it, or someone like you respect who's like not obviously fucking unreachable talking about it, that's when you kind of like open your eyes and you're a bit like, I can talk about this. I can talk about this to them. I can talk about this to someone else. And like, you kind of want to talk about it more because you want to make a change. You want to make a difference. You want to try and help yourself, or you try to help somebody else. So that's the benefit that anything like this could do.
Like I remember, like one of the reasons I really want, like I always say this to people when we ask them if they want to come on, they're like, but what do I have to offer? I'm like, you have a story. Everyone has a story.
Yeah.
That's why we're on here doing this. Everyone has a story that they want to get out of them, that they want to talk about, and that's why we're here.
So, yeah, 100%. Like it's not about whether you think you don't have like I'm like some people went through shit worse than me. There's fuck tons of people that went through much worse than me. I got off fucking very lucky. But like it's the like if you have a story to tell, or like if you have any chance of helping someone that might be in your situation, no matter how big or how small it is, talking about it does so much different, because you don't know who might be listening. Someone might be going through your situation that hears, shit, this fella's going through something pretty fucking similar to me. And then you become, that person then is positively affected by what you're doing. So the more anybody can do, no matter how big now, how small, it will make a difference. Exactly. And it will make a change.
And as well, you never know who's listening. There could be little Tim who's listening to this now going, oh wow, Sam's going through that. I'm going through that. Oh wow, Matthew's going through that. Wow, these guys are also doing that. You know, they realize then they're not alone, and you're not alone. There's so many people. Like I was the exact same. You know, my mates would say like you're like depressed and all this. I'm like, I'm not depressed. There's people out there 10 times worse than I am. I'm just being a little fucking bitch. Do you know?
Yeah,
But no,
that's what I was like for ages. A lot of times, like whenever I felt like down dumps, I'd be like, you're being such a fucking bitch. Like, come on, like hop onto yourself. And like a lot of people probably feel like that. And I get it. Like it's completely like understandable, but you need to realize it's like, yeah, you might think you're being a bitch, but you're not. Like it's life. Like obviously some people can naturally deal with shit better than others. Some people really can't, and that's really fucking unfortunate. But fucking everybody goes through shit, man. Everybody goes through shit.
as well, I'll say this as well. Like, if you've got mates going through this, just because this came to my head, because I have a mate who was going through a really bad breakup and stuff, and like he was really bad because he just lost somebody, went through a bad breakup and stuff, and his mates were like saying to him, you know, oh, you're not depressed because you're not looking to kill yourself. That is not what depression is.
Yeah.
That is no, yeah, that's the factor that it could lead to. But that's not, and don't try and put someone who's already down even worse. Look to lift your friends up. Look to be there. Look to help them out.
Like yeah, that's the thing. Like a lot of people kind of like don't get it, and like say for example, as you said, like someone goes through a breakup and you're slagging, I was like, ah man, come on, get over the missus, will you? For fuck's sake, like enjoy your life and shit like that. Like obviously they're not being fucking bad about it, and like what they're saying, they're not being bad. Like they're trying to be somewhat of a help. For some people that might actually help, like saying like kind of shit like that. But some people do need to be told like, look man, cop on, like, but obviously for some people you need to be a bit more fucking like, look laddie, all right, like, and obviously some people don't mean it and shit like that. It's just like how kind of like such Ireland is, like the humor, the banter, as I said. But yeah, everybody goes through shit differently. Some people are very easy to convince to become better, like to help get better, sorry. And then some people like you need to really like be careful, which is very unfortunate. But as I said, everybody goes through shit differently, so you need to know who you're chatting to, like how to help them.
And obviously now we're in 2023. You've gone to therapy and stuff like that. Obviously it's still there, but
yeah,
you are a much happier person now from going and talking.
No, 100%. Obviously, of course, like fucking shit in my life going so well, like with like for wrestling, like for example, like it's fucking some of the shit I got to do in the last year has been unbelievable, and obviously that fucking puts you on a cloud nine, so you won't fucking feel shit for a while. Like fucking happiest moment of my life probably was like the feeling after I wrestled Carlito in Belfast. Like I had like fucking moment to myself. I'm like, look what the fuck you just did. Like for some people it might not mean a lot. For me, it was the fucking world. And but the thing about that as well, like I'm trying to remember. I think I seen it. I think it was an interview about celebrities talking about actors. I think it was Tom Hanks. I think that said it. It was like, it with good times and bad times. Good times they shall pass, and bad times as well they will also pass. So the good and bad times don't last. You're going to feel good for a while, and then eventually shit will happen. It's inevitable. But it's how you deal with the shit times. And then eventually you got to realize, like, look, I'm not going to feel like this forever. Something good's going to happen. And that's what happens. Like wrestling as well can very much be an emotional roller coaster. At one point, you're a fucking cloud nine with whatever happened. And a month later, you're not in the same position. You're like, fuck, what the fuck happened? But it's all about getting back on the horse, getting back on the upward trajectory, and realizing, like, look, this feeling that I have right now, it's not going to last forever. What can I do to get back to how I was feeling before? And sometimes it's nothing you do. Sometimes you're fucking blessed, and something happens. Someone comes into your life. Something happens that causes you to go back to the good times. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it could be different for everybody as well, how long it takes. You know, for myself, it was all through COVID, and then once COVID was over and we were just able to get out of the same shit every day, slowly but surely, days start 100%. To get a lot better. You know, it could take a month, 2 months, but eventually, as you said, shit times are always followed by the good times. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like 1 second.
Like,
Sorry, go on.
yeah, I was gonna say because you brought up COVID. Like for so many, I know for myself, COVID was a fucking shit time for a bit. For a lot of people, it was really bad. Like that's what I'm like whole meaning by the kind of like the good times don't last and the bad times won't last either. It just felt like in COVID it was fucking never ending because it was so long. You were like in a lockdown for ages. You couldn't see your mates. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't go and do what you loved anymore. You couldn't wrestle. You couldn't go to the gym. You're stuck in your room. Yeah, I had the outside, yeah, but I had like they had fucking bottles like the 5 kilometer radius and shit like that. And people just felt like everything was piling up against them. And obviously, like completely understandable people feeling like shit. And because even then, like when the good times came back, when stuff got um unrestricted, you could go to the gym again, maybe go see your mates, you can go to the pub for a bit, gets fucking taken away again. And then it's kind of like we're getting somewhere and you're back, and that is so demoralizing. So demoralizing. But yeah, fucking that as well, then when you got to the good time of everything fucking reopening again, fuck that felt great. It felt so good. I remember the first time that being good Irishmen, the first time the fucking pubs reopened like properly, I think it was like July of 2021. I know there was like fucking like outdoor pints and stuff like that. Like obviously where I live, like um wasn't as active as like Dublin was, where you could go out on the street and everybody was around Temple Bar and fucking gas stuff looking at that. But we didn't really have that where I was living. And I remember the first time I went to the pub with my mates, got to sit down outside in the fucking July sunshine stutters, uh, sitting having a few pints of Guinness, and I was like, "This is great stuff we take for granted now." Like if my mates go to me, it's like, "Here, we go for a pint on a Wednesday," like, and at like 4 o'clock, I was a bit like, I'd be a bit now, a bit like, "Fuck no, what? Maybe not, no." But back then, I was like counting down the
Let's
days
do
for
it.
that to happen. I was like marked it on the calendar, everything on the phone. I was like buzzing, and then like that was great. Obviously, then fucking gets taken away from me again. But that's the whole kind of roller coaster of good times, bad times, good times, bad times. You just got to roll with the fucking punches, learn how to deal with the bad times, and then obviously fucking appreciate the good times.
Like 1 second you could be on top of a tag team division, and the next second you could get retired by Matthew Bulletsmyth.
Fuck's sake. Uh,
Mr. Carmo, I'll throw it to you.
I was just going to ask you there as well. Like I've gone through my own struggles, and one thing that I've always found the trickiest was just talking to anybody, like whether it be a friend, family member, anything like that. If you could give a voice to someone who's just struggling at the moment and just doesn't know where to even start, like who to go to, who to talk to, what would you kind of recommend?
Pick your closest and dearest friend, I'd say, definitely. A lot of people would say family, but I know for me, I thought it was very awkward kind of talking to my family about it because like it's weird sometimes. Some people obviously
It
have great
is.
relationships with their family, and fucking if their person that they trust the most is their family, 100% do it, 100%. But if you have someone and you know that if you talk to them, they will listen and they will show empathy, they will actually give a fuck, talk to them. And obviously, unfortunately, like fucking some people don't have that, and that's fucking shit. But that's the real life. Some people don't have that. There's always someone to talk to. There's helplines now, and they're not some like random fucking PR bollocks. They do work. People, as long as you're talking to anybody, like someone that will listen and show empathy. Sometimes talking to someone you don't even know that well actually fucking really helps. Like me, a random fella on a night out, and you just start fucking chatting to them. The helplines, just talking does so much for you. Like shit like this, even now, like chatting between ourselves, bouncing off each other, talking about our stuff, it helps us. Even if we're not dealing with it like majorly now, like it just gets out whatever we're talking about. We leave and we'll be like, I'm glad I talked about this. And that's the same vibe when you're talking to your mate, you're talking to your family member, your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever. Our helpline, just talk to someone and it will change so much in such a short space of time just for having one conversation. That's all it takes is one conversation. I can change everything.
100% as well. Like, bounce off each other and tell stories, as I mentioned many times. Never know who's listening and how much it could help them. But I completely
100%.
agree. Talk to anybody. And I agree as well. It can be awkward in family sometimes. I know I'm very bad with it. But do talk to whoever you trust the most, and things will start to pick up from there.
100%.
Anything else, Mr. Carmo?
I suppose, have you any advice to give to anybody outside of that?
Sorry?
Have you any advice to give to anybody outside of that?
Outside. I think I pretty much said everything I want to say. That's just the main topic. Just talk. Kind of have a look at yourself as well. Sometimes self-analysis is the best thing to do. You need to realize, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing to help myself feel better? Because sometimes, like for other situations, even if it's not mental health or something you're going through, sometimes the only person that can help you is you. And realizing that is so important. Like for me, when I went through my shit, if I was a bit ignorant and I was like, fuck yous, I'm not going to therapy, I don't need that, I just kind of I could have gotten, like, realistically, could have gotten over it, might not have, could have fucking changed my personality just like by that. But it's definitely look into yourself and look at what you're doing to help yourself. You need to help yourself. There's only so much other people can do for you in certain situations, but that's definitely a thing as well. When you kind of learn your own triggers is what will cause you to kind of slip back into feeling shit, and what can you do for yourself to make you feel better. Definitely look into yourself. As I said, find people who you can talk to, and find your distractions. Find the things in life you really enjoy and go for it. Fuck what anybody else says. Go for it. Like, enjoy your life. Appreciate the fucking good times, and just know if you're in any bad times, the bad times will pass. But as I said, fucking look at yourself. Find what you love to do it. Like fucking wrestling for me, like I fucking loved wrestling growing up. Always wanted to be a wrestler, and was very uncomfortable with outwardly saying it growing up in Ireland. And I get it, like just the banter and like fucking people taking the piss out of it. And I eventually was a bit like, yeah, fuck, I don't care anymore.
And now you've wrestled Carlito, and look at those people now. Honest
to fucking God, you never know what will happen. Follow your dreams. Such a cliche thing to say, but it's definitely true. Give it a go. I think it was it yourselves that put it up on the Instagram today about the Hard Knocks like the beginner thing, and you're like, don't make it be something you want to regret. One of the best things I ever read for myself when it comes to like going for goals and shit in life. Don't go to your grave with regrets. Go to your grave being like, yeah, there's some things I could have done better, but I've no regrets. No regrets. Like for myself, I don't have any real regrets. Maybe study better in school, but
we've all been there.
I think everybody has that. Unless you're getting 625 and leaving starting a PhD, but then like that's the thing. Like I've shit in my life that I wanted to do more than go to school. I want to be a fucking pro wrestler. So I've no regrets in that regard at the moment, and I'm gonna try live my life to be like that. To live my life with no regrets to a degree. Don't want to be don't want to be a crazy bastard with the whole no regrets things, but obviously with some reason. But yeah, that's the best advice I could give off the top of my head.
No, that's a perfect way to end up. And I'll just say like 100%. Don't let something like at the time Hard Knocks beginner training tomorrow. Don't let, like, if you want to be a wrestler, go for it. Because even if you just go in, step in the ring, take a bump, and that's it. You don't go anywhere with it. At least you can say, do you know what? I got to step in there and see what it's like, and you just gain a bit more of respect for it. Do you think we got? Do people think we did this podcast because we knew we were gonna do anything? No. A year ago, we had no idea we'd be sitting here with Matthew Bulletsmyth Smith right now.
I didn't know either.
Yeah. We didn't know we'd be talking with Big Damo or Sammy D or Danny Cross, any of them. It was just an idea that went off, and many, many big things coming up in the future.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm surprised we're
Like,
still
if
here.
you
but
go for
we're
shit,
here.
if you try something, if it doesn't fucking work, at least you tried.
It doesn't
At
work.
least
It
you
doesn't
fucking gave
work.
it a go.
I had 2 podcasts before this that were absolutely shit. Like the one thing, and I just say because it's in my head, because it's a really nice story to think of. If I'm ever down, I think of this. I remember when I was in, it's not college. What's the one? So you have your leaving, sir. It's like a PLC.
PLC, yeah.
I remember my teacher at the time, my video editing teacher, going to me. We were standing on a hurling pitch, and he goes, "What do you actually want to do? What do you want to gain from this?" And I said, if there's anything I really want to do, is I want to be an interviewer, and I want to interview wrestlers. I said, that's all I want. And it wasn't until, I think, last month I remembered that, and I was like, oh my God, I can email him now and be like, I've done it. I'm interviewing wrestlers. I've talked to people who've been to WWE. I've done it. And that's the best thing you can do if you just go for it. Worst thing that can happen is someone tell you no.
Yeah, exactly. I have fucking, not at this house now, but in me, in the house I grew up in, I had for ages had a thing. When I did my communion, they had a little bit where you write a bit about yourself. It was like fucking 8 or 9 or something, and I remember at the bottom, it's fucking fantastic use of English, and it says, when I grow up, I want to be a professional wrestling expert. The fact it says expert is hilarious looking back, but it's stuff like that I'll always like look at occasionally and be like, I'm doing that. Like I have one of, it's a snippet from a newspaper. It was from whatever one that was in Bray or the Wolftown area, where they did the original NWA Ireland shows in the Wolftown Community Centre. And like the headline says WrestleMania in Wolftown. And in the bottom, there's a picture of me and my brother holding the replica World Heavyweight title belts. And I have that newspaper snippet. Like, it's gas. I read through it, and the names on it, like Paddy Morrow, Sean Max Guinness, Paul Tracy, Fergal Devitt. And I look at that and I'm like, I've retired one. I'm in a fucking faction with 2 of them, and then there's me at the bottom, like, I look at that and I'm like, that kid watched that wrestling and he's like, one day I want to be that. I obviously didn't really think that. I was 4 years old or 3 years old. I was probably thinking about bollocks. No, not that way. Think about a lot of shit.
Realistically, what he was thinking was, I'm going to tag with one of those. My manager's going to be one of those. One of those guys is going to be the WWE, and I'm going to retire the other.
Yes, exactly. I had a plan out from the beginning. But no, I look at that and I'm like, I look at myself. I think because I have pictures in it, it makes it much easier. I look at that one. I look at the one of me when I was saying I want to be a professional wrestling expert, and I'm like, yeah, that kid would be very proud of what I've accomplished now. And I hope in a few years, in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I look back at myself now and I'm like, that young adult will be proud of the older adult that I become. And that's a great, I think that's a great outlook and way to look back on things, is look at where you were, look at where you are now, and think about what yourself then would have thought about you now.
It's perfect. And it's so true. Mr. Carmo, I will give you the final words before I go doing the socials.
I mean, after just what you literally just said, I don't think we can end it any better. Well, like, genuinely, you kind of pitched it off to all a perfect tea. Like.
But as always, Matthew, where can everybody find you on your socials?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Bulletsmyth with 2 T's. You can find me on Twitter with the exact same. And yeah, I only really use Instagram and Twitter. I have a TikTok, but I don't really use it, so maybe I might use it. Might throw some things up. Need to come at CJ West for them TikTok views. But
I mean, if you want, I'm fully sure at this point that Keane's looking to swap out with somebody. You can always take a move or 2 from him.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, they're all the socials. Of course, support Irish wrestling. OTT on demand. Come to the shows in person. If you haven't been to a show, come to a show. You'll experience fucking fantastic nights. Obviously, all the other Irish promotions, Hard Knocks, your local boys. Yeah, support Irish wrestling and support, of course, the Five Marks podcast. Great bunch of lads.
Don't make us blush. Don't make us blush. Well, of course, you can find our socials then, 5 Mark Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, 5 Marks Pod on Twitter. We're the same thing. We have a TikTok, but there's nothing happening as of right now.
In progress.
I'm not in the TikTok generation. I know I'm only like fucking 22, but I'm not gonna like. I see like the amount of accounts I see that are just like 14, 15-year-olds just like posting so much. I'm like, what? That's maybe what Vine was to me, but I never posted on Vine.
No.
Yeah.
But look, it was absolutely brilliant to have you on again, and you're more than welcome back anytime you want, especially when you retire another person, so I can gloat about that.
I retire myself.
Or even when you want to swap places with Paul Tracy, I'm happy to say I was the one that came up with the idea.
Yeah.
Mr. Carbo, I will let you send us home.
We'll have you back up when you win both the OTT Tag Team Champions and the Hard Knocks Tag Team Champions.
And you have to have them on camera.
Yeah, fucking double belt.
yeah. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us again today and telling us your entire story and giving us feedback on everything else. But again, for another week, and just before we go, pinkies up, we are officially ding, done.
Woo!